The competitor chases medals, but the martial artist chases mastery. And if you're honest, when you first started jiu-jitsu, you weren't interested in medals and podiums. You wanted to know how to protect yourself. You wanted to be dangerous. You wanted to walk through the world with confidence, knowing you could handle yourself and your emotions in any situation. But somewhere along the way, it became about looking good, winning rounds, and racking up advantage points. Look, this isn't a takedown of competing or being tough on the mats. It's a reminder of why many of you started jiu-jitsu in the first place, and a challenge to train like that still matters. Because if all you're doing is chasing wins, you might be missing the whole point. Welcome to the Alchemy of Struggle, baby. Modern jiu-jitsu is an ecosystem that's really good at producing performers, but not necessarily martial artists. We've mistaken polish for purpose and A-game for mastery. So here's the question that I want you to ask yourself while you're watching this video. Are you training to evolve or just to win? Now, there's something that we need to make very clear when we talk about jiu-jitsu competitor versus true martial artistry. It is undeniable that in an altercation, the competitor has the edge. Someone who competes often, they've learned how to deal with that adrenaline dump and the anxiety associated with competing. I don't care how well you can execute an armbar in a controlled situation. If you aren't regularly pressure tested, it's unlikely that you'll be able to execute that armbar when chaos hits. So yes, under pressure, the competitor likely performs better than the hobbyist or the recreationalist. But let's be clear here. The true martial artist is a weapon under constant calibration, mentally, emotionally, and physically. They carry an internal trigger capable of deadly force, but governed by precision and restraint. So I don't want to give the impression that this is some woo-woo martial arts esoteric stuff where we just sit around and do katas all day. But in a real life pressure situation, the person falls apart. But if all you're doing is competing and chasing medals, are you truly a martial artist? And I'm not just asking it of you, I'm asking it of myself as well. You know, when I started jiu-jitsu, I didn't know anything about jiu-jitsu culture and competition and all that stuff. I wanted to learn a martial art in the true traditional sense. But then once I joined a jiu-jitsu gym and I got immersed in jiu-jitsu culture, including competition culture, that's the part that took over. And I think this is true for a lot of us. But in order to become a true martial artist, I think the competitor must die. That means dismantling the identity you've built around being the baddest in the room, or even the one who always wins. And for all the talk about leaving the ego at the door and all of that, man, competition is all ego all the time. It's like the teacup story. You know, the teacup is full, so you got to pour it out to pour in more tea or more knowledge. But this time, the cup isn't just full, man. It is overflowing and making a mess of everything. It needs to get completely shattered. And this is the part that's going to be really difficult for some of you. You really have to be willing to look bad for a while, because you're no longer focused on being tough. You're no longer focused on winning. You're no longer focused on just your A game. You're focused on evolving. And yeah, so that means for a while, looking like you suck. Many of us started jiu-jitsu for transformation, and then we got sucked into the culture of competition. Win more, dominate more, medal more. The modern curriculum of jiu-jitsu is optimized for tournaments, not transformation. Mastering the rule set, gaming for points, and my personal favorite, winning by advantage. So this isn't martial mastery. This is tactical compliance. But I'm not against competition. That's not what this is. But the question is, what is the purpose of competition? Think of competition as a firing range and you're the weapon. You're testing your weapon under pressure against a moving target. The goal isn't just to win. The goal is to learn what fails under stress. So the martial artist does not treat the podium as the finish line. He treats the match as a diagnostic device. Win or lose, he asks this question: what did this expose in my game? What is it that I need to fix? There's a 14-year-old student at Ithaca BJJ. He went to a competition. It didn't do well in his estimation. And I asked him, I says, well, did you learn where you have flaws in your game? He said, oh yeah. I said, then it's a win. Now you know what to work on. And that's the way a martial artist looks at competition. Not as performance, but as refinement. Now, I know there's people right now screaming at their monitors, man, screaming at their phones, screaming at their televisions, talking about, oh man, this is just old school martial arts woo-woo. But that's not what this is. Look, there's no mysticism here. I already said the martial artist is a calibrated weapon, one who works on mind, body, and emotion, and restraint under pressure. A weapon that fires at the wrong moment is dangerous, and a weapon that malfunctions under pressure is useless. Now, some of you are going to say, oh man, this is just semantics. This is just a play on words. What difference does all this make? Why even draw this line? Because if we don't, then jiu-jitsu becomes just another combat sport like boxing and wrestling. There's nothing wrong with that, unless you believe it's meant to be more. If you signed up for jiu-jitsu because it felt more like a path than a game, then definitions matter. So I can hear the next guy screaming, yeah, but didn't MMA destroy all those fake woo-woo martial artist guys? We've all seen the footage of the MMA guy destroying the old martial arts master and embarrassing him in front of his students. It happened, and it should have happened. Those delusional chi blast grandmasters got completely wrecked by real fighters. Don't confuse raw violence with martial arts mastery. Give me any seasoned brawler from a bar, from a prison, or a gangbanger, and put him up against those same chi masters, he would kick their asses too. But no one would call that person a martial artist. Why? Because martial arts isn't just about raw power. It's about restraint. It's about calibration, mastery over self, not just over opponents. So if your training only makes you better at scoring points under a certain rule set, but not better at mastering yourself, then I'm sorry, you are not a martial artist. You're a competitor, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But don't confuse the two, because the mat is either a place to perform or a place to transform. That's the alchemy of struggle right there, baby. So choose, because if you don't, your training will choose for you. And before we go, last week I made a promise that I wanted to make a shout out to some subscribers who have been showing up hard in the comments and offering support to other viewers. If you see their names in the comments, give them a shout out and a big thank you. These guys have been awesome. And look, if this video hit home for you, go check out the video that's linked at the end of this one. Why most people suck at jiu-jitsu and how to fix it. It's the perfect companion to everything we just discussed. But we're not done yet. In next Tuesday's video, man, we're going hard in the paint with the other half of this message. And that's it, guys. Look, I want to thank all the subscribers again. You guys are amazing. Keep showing up and helping each other out. But remember, there are other people who need to hear this message. So let's help them find it. Like, share, subscribe. Keep up the good fight and stay safe on those mats. Peace.